Normally on Neat Adventures, we are at a specific distillery or a historic landmark, but today is different. Today we step into an experience that shaped bourbon culture itself. A tradition born of history, a hunt for something singular. This is the story of the barrel pick. Welcome to Neat Adventures. Before single barrels were a modern phenomenon, there were pioneers. In the 1980s, Elmer T at Buffalo Trace launched Blanton's, the first mass-marketed single-barrel bourbon. It proved a single barrel could tell its own story. Booker Note at Jim Beam and others soon followed, and the idea spread. One barrel, one flavor, one chance. That history gave rise to a modern barrel pick culture. Today, distilleries invite groups, stores, and festivals to taste and select from these barrels, just as those early masters intended.
I love single barrels because you don't get to just taste new things. It's like almost tasting other people's palates, right? Seeing what they love and enjoy. And you can get a good following about that. I mean, I'm sure you have a liquor store that you go to buy barrel picks because you know you like his palate, you like how he picks his barrels.
When you pick a barrel, you are tasting history in motion. Every cask is unique. Same recipe, same warehouse, but completely different personalities.
What I'm typically looking for on a single barrel, if somebody asks us to pick one out for them, is I want something that's off profile, because you're going to buy a single barrel, you don't want to buy a single barrel that tastes exactly like what's already in the bottle in bulk, even if it is a little bit overproof versus what you'd get at the store.
A single barrel is whiskey in its purest form. No blending, no masking, just the truth of that one cask.
I used to go through and grade them all. It'd be 1, 2, or 3. 1 would be like 50% of the business. So that 50% is everything is exactly as you would expect it, right? It's a good whiskey. There's nothing wrong with it, but there's also not anything that is isolated or over the top, essentially. There's also no flaws in it. And then a 2 would be a whiskey that is interesting, but not interesting enough to be a single barrel of its own accord. And of course, each whiskey has its own profile. So 2 might be a little bit out of balance, and it might have interesting characteristics, but nothing that's so far out of the norm that it could be considered a single barrel of its own accord. And then 3 would be something that would be a very small amount of a blend, say anywhere between 5 and 15%, where there are characteristics that are way out of line from the norm. And I know the characteristics of the whiskey, so normally there's going to be 3 or 4 different characteristic flavor profiles that I'm aware of in the whiskey. Those barrels would then become the last component of that blend, or they might become single barrels.
Stepping into a rickhouse, you feel the temperature shift. You smell the oak and spirit in the air. Picking a barrel is both art and science. Steve Akeley of the ABV Barrel Shop explains what they look for in a single barrel.
Now, what we're trying to do with our single barrel program is to go in and taste, the whiskey. Sometimes the barrels are not as good as the product that they have on the shelf. Sometimes they taste pretty close to what's on the shelf. Sometimes they taste better, and sometimes they taste extremely better. And that's the ones that we're looking for. Those ones that are extremely off profile in the best way possible, and that's what we're looking for. And I think we've set a reputation of being able to find those barrels.
And when you do find that one, it's a moment you never forget. Some distilleries take it further, naming each pick to tell their story.
When I first started out in this, there wasn't people naming their single barrel. You didn't see a lot of distilleries doing it and things like that. But once again, we wanted to be different. Like, how can we be different than everyone else putting out single barrels? So our first single barrels that we ever released, we kept it really simple. We called them caramel and vanilla, fruit and floral, and pepper and tobacco and pepper. So, and that was the name of the single barrels, right? To kind of give people an idea of the flavor profiles of each one of those barrels.
Simple names like these help drinkers connect to what makes each barrel unique.
But also, it really opened up people's eyes and mind to understanding why you're doing the same recipe, put in the same type of barrels. Barrel A can be totally different from barrel C, even though they were filled on the same date, put up right next to each other. So I think that really helped people see the different flavor profiles that we were getting out of there. And we've kind of evolved from there, right? So we got tangerine tobacco, We have one here called Blueberry Crepe. And I think they're just fun, exciting ways for people to come in and say, oh, you know what? I love tobacco. I love tangerines. I have to try that.
Names like that live beyond the tasting room. They give a barrel a personality and a legacy. A barrel pick isn't just about the whiskey. It's about connection between the people who make it, the people who select it, and the people who share it. That sense of connection is something Jason Brauner, now the owner of Buzzard Roost Whiskey on Louisville's historic Whiskey Row, has been cultivating for decades. Long before launching his own brand, he built a space where bourbon could bring people together in a very intentional way.
At one point in my life, I wanted to open a restaurant, and I wanted to showcase bourbon. I thought bourbon was undermarketed, and I thought I was out to educate the world about bourbon. And so I opened a place called Bourbon Bistro in 2005, and got a lot of whiskey experience through that, meeting all the master distillers and doing single barrel picks and bourbon dinners, and getting to taste, I think, the best of the best whiskey that's out there.
Jason's story, like so many others, proves that single barrels aren't a gimmick. They're a bridge to something greater.
I think my single barrel program at Bourbon's really helped me with what I'm doing now. I think through Bourbon's I've done over 100 single barrel picks, and we were the first at a lot of the distilleries. Woodford Reserve was our first barrel that we picked, and I think we were one of the handful of people that even had picked a single barrel from Woodford. We were the first bar restaurant at Four Roses to pick their first single barrel. So, and we've done them with Wild Turkey, with Buffalo Trace, you name it, we've done a single barrel with them.
Some distilleries bring that connection to life by letting their own team members choose special barrels, then pouring those picks for visitors right in the tasting room.
Usually on our tasting flight, we're going to offer Distillery Exclusives, and normally the majority of the exclusives on that flight is going to be employee picks, and that's hand-picked barrels by the employees that work here. So I tell them you're actually tasting stuff that we like, so it's easier to kind of pull them into that bourbon world by tasting something that you actually got part of choosing outside of the flagship bourbons. So we'll pull them in and we'll talk about the single barrels that we have to offer that the employees were able to pick. And that seems to help because we offer them at different proofs, and we've got something that will pretty much meet everybody's palate.
If you ever get a chance to be a part of a barrel pick, do it. You're not just tasting whiskey, you're tasting history. This is Neat Adventures. Until next time, keep your drink neat, and here's to finding that one barrel that speaks to you.